Hello and welcome to July of 1985. I almost said the wrong year there. I'm your host for this time travel tour, Eric Smith. And those of you who watched last week's video probably haven't slept all week because you're wondering what book was so big that I started it in June and didn't finish it until July. I'm a horror guy, so I bet a lot of you thought that it's The Stand by Stephen King, but you would be wrong. That is not the book. If you thought it was Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon, you're also wrong. That book wasn't even published until 1987. So, without further ado, the 1,066-page book that took up most of my reading in June and carried over into July of 1985 is Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. Don't have a copy of it. I will say that at this time I had never heard of Scientology. So to me, Battlefield Earth was just a big, epic science fiction novel. I remember enjoying it. I thought it was a well-written, adventurous book. At least at the time. I don't remember much about it. And of course, now, allegedly, it's a big Scientology allegory. My understanding is the movie really is a Scientology allegory. I have not seen the movie. I have no interest in seeing the movie. But I did take the time, quite a bit of time, to read the book, Battlefield Earth. It was huge. And at the time, it was the longest book I'd ever read, which is why I always remember the page count for the edition that I had, 1,066 pages. So Battlefield Earth is the first book on my list for July of 1985. Next, we have a couple of movie adaptations, novelizations. First, Back to the Future by George Gipe. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's G-I-P-E. So I assume it's Gipe. Back to the Future. I was blown away by this movie, so much so that I saw it 10 times in the theater when it was released. The details in it, it was funny. It had great music, lots of action, great acting, wonderful cast, and it just blew me away. And as with a lot of novelizations, there are little details in the book that were not in the movie, at least as I recall. So I was very excited to read this book because I absolutely loved the flick. So the next novelization, a movie I don't love so much. As a matter of fact, there are 4 movies in this franchise. I own 3 of them. I will probably never own this movie unless someone, for some reason, gave it to me as a gift. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome by Joan D. Vinge, V-I-N-G-E. Not sure why I read this, because not a fan, as I said, of the movie. Really love Mad Max, and The Road Warrior and Fury Road I thought was fantastic. Beyond Thunderdome, not so much. I suppose at the time, as a young, impressionable, early adult, maybe I didn't think it was that bad, but I personally find it almost unwatchable now. But I did read the novelization, so there you go. Next, we have something I do have the book for, and that is Promised Land by Robert B. Parker. It's another Spencer novel there. The covers that I want, one of the few that I have, because I'm finding it difficult to find these covers. But another great Spencer novel. The thing that always stands out to me in this one, earlier in this little video series when I was talking about some of the other books, talked about the progression of relationships and how Spencer, in the first one, starts dating somebody, or asks somebody out, and then in the next one, he's sort of dating that woman when he meets Susan Silverman and goes out with her. And then in the third book, he's kind of seeing both, but takes the next step with Susan Silverman and sort of becomes exclusive with her. So the one thing that stands out in this book is that he proposes to Susan Silverman, and she says no. And not that she doesn't love him and love their relationship, but I guess marriage just not something that she wanted to do. So obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but they are. The Spencer books are fantastic. Great mysteries. The characters are wonderful. But that's the one thing that always stood out to me and it's a character thing, more so than mystery. Next, we have Fletch by Gregory MacDonald. Much better than the Chevy Chase movie, and that movie's fine, but while these books are very lighthearted, I think the movie leaned way into the comedy, more so than the book does. And this is the first Fletch book. There are some prequels to it. I believe this is the first. Yeah, it's got to be. It's just called Fletch, so you'd think that was the first one. There are definitely prequels to this book, but this is the one that started it all. And I love the character of Fletch. I mean, he's a smart ass, which I can relate to. And again, interesting mysteries. It's a great series overall. Looking over at the Fletch books that I have, I'm trying to think. I was going to point out one that wasn't all that great, but I think they are all pretty damn good. Just not your Fletch. For those who don't know, Fletch is a reporter. He's young. He's cocky. He's just a great character, and not really traditional mysteries in all of the books, but very, very entertaining. Love the Fletch series. If you keep watching these videos, you're going to see a point where there's just going to be a ton of these things. So Fletch, and then finally the last book, only 6 books in July. The last book was The Day of Dissonance by Alan Dean Foster, which is the third in the Spellsinger series. And I don't remember too much about it. I had to look this one up, and John Tom, the main character, the guy from Earth that's now in this magical world and has become a spellsinger, his mentor is an old turtle wizard, and apparently in this book he's dying, so John Tom has to go on a quest to find a way to save the old wizard, the old turtle. And that's it. That's the 6 books that I read in July of 1985. And eclectic, I guess. Got some science fiction, some mysteries, some fantasy. Not sure what you'd call Back to the Future and Mad Max. I mean, Mad Max would be post-apocalyptic. Back to the Future, do you call it just science fiction? And it is a time travel book, but and no horror. So no The Stand, no Swan Song. Battlefield Earth is the big book. Hope you're not too disappointed waiting a whole week to find out that's what I read. Anyway, that's it for July 1985. We'll see you next week with, oh look, it's August 1985. Until next time, read more books.